Welcome, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Please have a seat, a virtual seat with us. My name is Neila Benamara. I'm the SDG Program Manager for BLab Europe.
And absolutely, Neila, it's a great pleasure to be here with you. Thank you for this opportunity. My name is Ilse von Kampenhausen. I'm part of the executive circle of the BMW Foundation. It's an honor to be part of this beautiful story of collaboration.
We're so excited indeed, because it's such a big event today. It's the last event of a big campaign, right, Isabel?
Absolutely, and it's a really beautiful story.
Very, very nice. So again, thank you for joining us. We're talking about a special day today, as I said. It's an SDG 17, and it's part of a much broader and bigger campaign, SDG campaign, that BLab has led during the whole month of September. You may have already seen some of the activations along your way, but for those that haven't seen, this campaign is all about contributing to the momentum that is happening during this month together with the UN, the United Nations General Assembly, and all the momentum and the energy around the Sustainable Development Goals, known as well as the SDGs. So the campaign is all about highlighting and how the movement, the B Corp movement that some of you may know already, is contributing to that agenda, and showing up how the different elements and members of the movement are contributing, from certified B Corps to movement builders, to founders, to different partners and like-minded organizations. Today is a special day because it's the last day. We're presenting, as we said, the SDG 17, which is the last SDG, but not the least important. It's actually, in my personal opinion, one of the most important, since we're talking about partnerships for the goals. And partnerships are actually a key enabler and an essential and necessary element if we aim to achieve any of the other goal. It's encompassing and helping us to define what is the right attitudes and mindsets for us if we want to be able to achieve those goals. We all have a role to play in different angles, perspectives, and by doing it together and collaborating on that, then we can aim to achieve them. But before that, then I will introduce it to Isabel, who will let us know more about the agenda that we have in the next session.
And thank you, Neila. I love the framing about SDG 70 because I think it's all about collaboration, and that's the key to success. And that's also why we're launching today notebooks on extreme collaboration, because we see, especially in the context of the SDGs, how difficult it is to make them a reality, and that we really need all hands on deck to get there. We can't really afford to lay back and stay in our comfort zones and only collaborate with those people who share our core values and beliefs. We have to go beyond. We have to be more courageous, more daring. And the books really help us to identify how to go about it, how to find shared ground, even with adversaries, and develop with them a common purpose towards which collaboration across silos and across beliefs is possible. The learnings of the books, or the notebooks, are based on the lived experience from the global movement of Cities Can Be, whose co-founders are the BMW Foundation, Sistema B, and Gulliver, a Chilean B Corp. Many people and organizations have contributed towards this joint effort. A big thank you to all of you for sharing with the world tools and strategies to build communities based on collaboration that goes beyond what is customary until now and what is in tune with the great challenges we face as humanity in this new era.
Thank you, Ilzabe. And as you said very rightly, one indeed of a spirit, I think it's a really good word to describe him. So I will present now actually Leonardo Maldonado, who's, as Ilzabe just mentioned, one of the co-founders of Cities Can Be. He's also from Chile, actually, and the co-founder also of a CEO as well of Gulliver and Borma Chile. He's also an experienced international consultant and a speaker for open ecosystem for collaboration, innovation, and entrepreneurship. So Leonardo has a lot of experience and knowledge combining both, and not only has accumulated all of that, but is actually very keen and open to share it with others, to demultiply and to make sure that we can reach that common vision that we all have. So he led the writing of those books that have been written in a very open source. Everyone can access them. And we're going to hear from his own voice what those books are all about. And you will see how we can mobilize for cultural changes and also uncover tools and strategies for extreme collaboration. Welcome, Leonardo. Let's listen to you.
Thank you very much. We're very happy and very grateful to be able to launch our Extreme Collaboration Notebooks. This is something that wouldn't be possible without the support of Sistema B, Gulliver, and of course the BMW Foundation, who has been with us all along. And it's the work of many people. We've been collaborating with Tomas since the beginning, and this wouldn't be possible without Pedro and his writing skills that has allowed us to put our learnings into words. And of course, the wonderful art of Alejandro, who not only helped with the books, but whose amazing art is illustrating this presentation. The whole idea of these notebooks came in the midst of the pandemic. And one of the things we've learned from the pandemic is that even though science did an amazing work and was able to create results in a very short time span, we basically failed as humanity to organize ourselves and treat it as one thing, one planet, one issue. We actually still are dealing with it one country at a time, which has proven not to help at all and makes absolutely no sense if you look at it systemically. So basically, what we've learned and what we're saying here is that if our global governance doesn't work and doesn't produce the results we need to solve the humanity's grand challenges, we need alternative ways. And so in the first one of our notebooks, we talk about the example of the Paris Accord. We are all very proud of what happened there. It was amazing, except that it was the 21st COP it took us 21 years to get some agreement on what are we going to do with climate change. At that speed, we're not going to make it. So during the 25th COP, a way of hacking it appeared. It's not an aggression. It's not outside of COP. It started from inside the COP, but it's a way of hacking the way we're working. Instead of having to agree on everything all the time, Race to Zero is everybody can opt in. And 120 countries already committed themselves to get to carbon neutrality by 2050. But what happens if your country doesn't commit to this? If you are not a country, well, there's no problem, because as a city, you can commit. If you're not a city, as a corporation, you can commit. Universities have committed, even global funds have committed. And that means already more than a third of humanity in less than a year has committed to carbon neutrality by 2050. What we're saying here is we need a new way, a different way to articulate ourselves and to get results faster. And that's what we call extreme collaboration. And what we've been doing in Cities Can Be is to ask ourselves, how can we use this new capacity of extreme collaboration to advance the SDG goals? And what we're saying is that we think one city at a time is not a bad idea. We've been working in 6 cities and we want to expand. And the idea is we know that we have very profound differences. We know we come from different countries. We know we have different religions, different political views. It's okay. Nevertheless, we need to collaborate. If we're going to tackle this kind of global challenges, we need to do it together, even if we don't agree. And that's what we call extreme collaboration. It's going beyond traditional collaboration into a more uncomfortable zone. And for this, we have developed 4 strategies. Each one will have a notebook, and we're in the process of solving that. And let me start with the first strategy, cultivating an epic common purpose. What does that mean? It means that we need, if we're going to collaborate, we need to feel that it's good for all of us. And that's not obvious. Let me give you an example. If we think of Africa, in the beginnings of 1994, Mandela had just gone out of prison. We were heading for an election. Most probably he was going to win. Now he gets, people tell him that there is a military coup that's being organized to overthrow him as soon as he gets into power. So what does he do? He invited for a meeting the general that was in charge of the rebellion. And in the words of the general, he was expecting at his arrival to the meeting to meet a very angry and resentful guerrilla leader. And instead of that, what he found was Mandela that in a very soothing tone offered him a cup of tea and took the opportunity to thank the English for introducing Africa to tea. Now, I'm not saying that this cup of tea was the solution to all the problems of South Africa. We're sure that there's a lot of things, other things that had to happen. And most of all, the problems are not nearly solved. There's a lot of road ahead. But what we're saying is he started a conversation where we could be on the same side of the table. Now, what Mandela told this general was the fact that he understood what he was doing. He knew he was building a rebellion. He knew he was trying to have a military coup. And he says, I understand that. And I know why you're doing it. Because you want to take care of your own. You don't want your people to suffer. Well, I don't want my people to suffer either. And what I do know is that if that moves on, we're going to end up with a civil war. And if we have a civil war, all of our loved ones are going to suffer. And we're going to have a lot of people dying because of this. So why not work together to avoid the bloodbath? If we are trying to avoid the bloodbath, we're both on the same side. We're all taking care of our own, and we'll have the best result for everybody. What we're saying is that the fact that things are good for all of us, it's a way of seeing, it's a way of talking, it's a way of understanding reality. And what's interesting is that you can do this if you start thinking of a new way of seeing things. And that's what the second book is about. Now, to build this epic common purpose, you need to start thinking about what part of the past we can honor. If we ignore the past, the future doesn't make sense. We need to understand the past, and there's parts of the past that divide us, but there's part of the past that make us grateful of being who we are together. We need to focus on what's working when we're dancing together in the present. And we need to be able to co-create a narrative of what the future would be amazing for all of us. These books have canvases for each tool, and that allows us to work in every situation to, in this case, be able to build this epic common purpose. Supposing we have this epic common purpose, then we need to intertwine stakeholders. What does that mean? It means that we need to rethink what it takes to collaborate. We were raised with the idea that to collaborate, we all need to agree in everything all the time. And that's very hard. That's almost impossible. So we actually think that that's not the way. We shouldn't be trying to do that. Maybe it's easier if some of us agree in some things sometimes. We think that's a much easier thing to achieve because all of us have goals, have different political views, have different ways of measuring what we're doing, we have different agenda, have different tasks that we need to accomplish, we have different resources, and we all face different challenges. So to forget about our specific agendas, to join the other players, just doesn't make sense. We need to take care of our goals, we need to take care of our challenges, but look for synergies. And if you do this, there's 1,000 ways we can collaborate. We don't need to agree on everything, we just can find places where we can collaborate. Doing this has allowed us to mobilize over $3.5 million to advance the SDG agenda in our different cities. And just in Santiago, we've managed to get 80 different institutions to collaborate and work together to achieve this. Now, we also have a canvas for this, and the idea is to always have this question of who else could we incorporate in our governance? What other purposes, what other initiatives could be done in the governance of the city can be? And the same thing once we go into the projects. In this specific project, who else could we involve? What other purposes could it fulfill? What other actions could we call that get more people in the game? Now, once we have those two taken care of, we need to engage business. We're certain that the common good is not just an issue for the government or the NGO sector. Business can have a huge role leading this. And it's not just us saying it. The World Economic Forum declared it, that it was going from shareholder capitalism to stakeholder capitalism. And it makes all the sense that we support this and we encourage this because we're part of the B Corp movement, and we are certain that business can be a force for good. Now, to do that, we have conveyed 750 companies around our different cities to take the B impact assessment, and over 120 companies have worked together for 6 months process to improve their footprint, their impact in society and the environment. But also companies not only have to improve the inside, they can actually help projects that are government-led or citizen-led. And that has happened with all these companies. And the last thing is, we're certain, and the Me Too movement or Black Lives Matter have proven, that citizens can have a huge impact worldwide. So we have designed a way of doing this, what we call massive initiatives of collective impact. So let me give you an example that actually summarizes all 4 strategies put together. If you're going to put together the mayor of Santiago and the mayor of 2 different neighborhoods inside Santiago with school kids, with a photograph collective, with the subway metro, with the public transportation, with the NGOs, with the citizens, with the paint company, with famous artists, if you want to put them all together working, our natural instinct is that we have to agree on what to do. We're certain that that doesn't work. To agree on what to do means a lot of effort. But if we just agree on a shared purpose, then it's much easier to get them working together. And that's what we've done. So let me give you an example of how does this work. We got citizens to write phrases that explain the SDGs to other citizens and that move them to action. We gave those phrases to famous artists. They produced amazing works of art. We went to the mayor of Santiago. She loved this, and she said, I'm going to put it with my own budget on every corner, on every street. We went to the subway, and they said, sure, we can print this on the cards that people used to get on the subway. As they got printed, hundreds of thousands, the Secretary of Women's Affairs saw the one about gender equality, loved it, and printed on her own money more cards of that one. Having done that, we went to the buses, and they said, we love this, but we don't want those images. We need photos of the city. We went to the Photographer Association. They gave us the photos for free, and the buses printed it and put it on the bus stops and on the buses. Having done that, we went to talk to specific NGOs that were working in specific neighborhoods. And we went to a paint company and they gave us the paint to do the murals. We discussed with the citizens what mural made more sense, what SDG moved them along. And once we had built a mural, building the second one or the third one was very easy. The paint company was more than happy to provide the paint, and we could work with the school kids to actually do the painting and decide what SDG was more relevant. What's interesting is that this actually summarized all 4 strategies: an epic common purpose, engaging companies, engaging people, and intertwining them instead of having them all to agree. This is what we call extreme collaboration. Now, we're convinced that if we want to stop seeing this kind of images, we actually need to get our act together. We need to start working together, even if we don't like each other. This is not a country's problem. This is not a city problem. This is a worldwide problem. We need to act as a species, and we haven't been able of doing that. That's why we've been writing these extreme collaboration notebooks, and that's why we're releasing them with a Creative Commons license so everybody could use it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Leonardo, for all those stories that you have shared, because really those are all the storytelling about not only what are the methodologies themselves, but understanding where it's coming from. And when you will, all of you, and I hope you will, read the books, the Extreme Collaboration Notebooks, you will realize that the books themselves have been written in a similar fashion, with also this idea of a journey that we go along from one book to another, and understanding indeed why do we need extreme collaboration, but also how to apply it. Leonardo has also mentioned especially the need for synergies and this methodology that is not about just all of us having a consensus and agreeing on everything all the time, but how we can adapt to differences and apply in a more inclusive way a collaboration methods that can indeed enable effective partnerships at a much global scale to accelerate the change for that common vision we're trying to achieve together. So I hope you will find, and you will be curious enough to go check and apply also in your everyday those tools and methodology. Isabel, do you want to add anything?
Yes, thank you, Naila. First of all, you're probably all curious to learn more about the books we've been speaking so much about already. You can download it at the following link, www.colaboracionesextrema.global. And you can also find the link in the chat. And please feel warmly invited to download it, to read the books about extreme collaboration, which is available in 3 languages, in English, in Spanish, and in Portuguese. It is a Creative Commons product, so feel free to download, share, and distribute it. It's meant to find as many readers as possible. And please also use it as an invitation to enter into this promising field of collaboration, to use the tools and tricks which are shared there on how to make collaboration successful, and to also boldly push the boundaries of what you think is possible, because probably much more is possible than we can imagine right now. And just as a small perhaps illustration of what can result from extreme collaboration, I think COVID-19 has taught us how fragile our realities are now. And how much this crisis has put progress into question, and poverty reduction, gender rights, and health, of course. So many things have been put at risk, but it has also taught us that if unlikely forces come together across governments, businesses, and sciences, we can create in record time, and nobody thought that possible, a number of vaccines that guide us out of this mess. I think now it's time to collaborate, to extremely collaborate globally, and equally courageously to make this success accessible to everyone in each corner of the world, because it's extreme collaboration that we need to build a sustainable future together. So please read the book and spread the word. Thank you for joining us. It was a pleasure to be with you. Thank you and bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.